Title: She betrayed my trust. I responded with a separation agreement. I waited for her to return from her affair, unaware that I knew everything. When she saw me, the tears began immediately, along with the desperate apologies and promises to do anything to make things right. Hi everybody. We are back with another story shared by one of our subscribers. They suggested I post this because they found it interesting. Not sure if this is your personal story or not, but if it is, please email me and let me know. I'm aiming for 100,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and I truly believe we can achieve it together. So if you could hit that subscribe button, it would really mean a lot to me. Now, let's dive into the story. You all saw the title, so let's dive in. Married for 11 years, 2 kids aged 11 and 9. My wife had been cheating for 8 months. I found out 3 months before confronting her. I was still working through everything when I decided to share my experience here, hoping for more advice since this sub has helped me a lot. Long story short, after 11 years of marriage, she cheated for 8 months. I found out 3 months ago but waited to confront her until I had gathered solid evidence, including video proof and a separation agreement prepared by a reputable lawyer. This happened about 9 months ago. I guess you could call it D-Day. I waited for her to come home from her affair partner. She had no clue I knew anything. The moment she saw me sitting at the table, she looked visibly anxious. I asked her to sit down because we needed to talk. I was beyond tears at this point and had already decided that divorce was the only option the day I discovered her betrayal. She sat down, clearly panicked. She said, "You're scaring me. What is this about?" I replied, "I'm not here to discuss your infidelity. I know everything. I'm here to finalize our separation and divorce." I placed my wedding ring on top of the folder containing the separation agreement and slid it toward her. She started crying, pleading, and apologizing, but we got nowhere. I countered every excuse she had. When she said she loved me, I responded, "You hurt me more than anyone ever has, and yet you sleep with other men because you love me? How does that make sense?" After hours of getting nowhere, I told her to go stay at a hotel and that we'd continue the conversation the next day. I also warned her that if she didn't sign the separation agreement, I'd tell everyone what she had been doing. I know it sounds like I pressured her, but at the time, I just wanted everything to end. Eventually, she signed the papers and left. Throughout the night, I received endless calls and messages, but I only responded occasionally saying, "I won't read or discuss anything until tomorrow, okay?" The next day, reality hit her hard. She begged for another chance, promising to do anything to make it right. I told her I would file for divorce on Monday and that she had 90 days to convince me otherwise. I'm not sure why I gave her that chance. I was weak. I had made up my mind to end things, but I caved. The following day, I prepared a list of conditions for her. I didn't show her the list right away. I just told her it existed and that unless she followed it to the letter, we would only communicate about the kids, and the divorce would be final. I also made it clear that even perfect compliance was no guarantee that we wouldn't divorce. My trust in her was completely shattered, and I didn't even love her anymore. She destroyed what we had. The only reason I considered rebuilding was for the sake of our kids. I didn't plan on saying this, but I couldn't stick to my decision. The list included 1. No more lies. She had to write a detailed account of everything she did with her affair partner, including how it started and what made her think she could do this to me and our kids. If she skipped anything, my efforts would end. 2. Full access to all her social media, phones, computer, salary, and bank statements. 3. She had to report her whereabouts and activities at all times. 4. She needed to see a therapist 2 to 3 times a week until she understood her own choices, with marriage counseling to follow later. She agreed to the list, gave me access, and only then did I reveal points 5, 6, and 7, one at a time, after she completed each task. 1. She had to meet with the affair partner's wife, confess everything, hand over all evidence, and offer to testify in court if needed. She initially refused, saying she couldn't do that to him. I reminded her that she prioritized the affair partner's feelings over her own family. If she didn't do this, reconciliation was off the table. I would tell his wife myself if she didn't. If she refused to own up, there was no point in continuing. Eventually, she agreed and told the affair partner's wife everything. The wife slapped her, pulled her hair, and screamed at her. My wife didn't fight back, she took the beating without resistance. I didn't protect her either, she ended up with gashes and bald spots. In the car afterward, I informed her that the affair partner had been seeing another woman besides her, and I showed her the evidence from the private investigator I hired. I felt a guilty satisfaction watching her realize she was just another fling to this guy. I told her she should get tested. She had to explain herself to our kids and describe the likely impact on our family. She confessed to everyone in our family and circle of friends. I told her I would have an affair for 3 months, lie to her face, sneak around behind her back, and form a deep emotional bond with another woman. I needed her to understand what she was asking me to forgive, the humiliation and the pain. She needed to grasp the risk that I might fall in love with someone else and leave her for my affair partner. After 3 months, I would tell her everything honestly. Number 7 was the hardest for both of us. I pretended to cheat. I installed Tinder, made sure she saw it occasionally, pretended to text in secret, and stayed out all night or went away for weekends. In reality, I was alone, staying in hotels, renting cabins, and crying most of the time. My wife was increasingly frantic. I hated doing this, it nearly destroyed me. I was only pretending, yet she had done it for real with such ease. That's what hurts the most. I wanted to show her what she was asking me to forgive, but instead, I learned how terrible it feels to do this to someone. We're now in marriage counseling, and she's making progress, but I'm not. Some days are better than others. For now, I keep the divorce papers ready. I'm not sure why I haven't filed yet. We're not intimate or close, but at least we're not fighting anymore, so I guess that's progress. She's very apologetic, but I still can't get past the way I felt when I was pretending. She did it so easily, and now I can only see her as a monster. I wish I had ended it on day 1, but now that I've dragged us both through this, I wonder if there's any way to move past seeing her this way. I've forgiven everything else, but I can't get over this. Edit, I told her after 7 weeks that I hadn't actually cheated. I couldn't keep up the act, it made me feel horrible. Edit number 2, thanks for all the input. I'll take these new perspectives and see if I can make any progress. I'll post an update in a few weeks if anything changes. Wow, let me share my thoughts. I've said it before, I hate it when kids are involved in situations like this. But man, I wish you had stuck to your guns. You came home, had the separation agreement ready, and told her you were getting a divorce, but then you didn't follow through. You didn't mean it. The moment she started crying and giving you those sad eyes, you saw the wife you fell in love with again, not the person who betrayed you. You thought about your kids and decided to give her a list to follow, hoping things would get better. But they didn't, and even if you had cheated, it wouldn't have made anything better. It wouldn't have erased what she did. Cheating back wouldn't have helped. In my opinion, you should have just stuck to your original plan, even though it would hurt. You would have moved on eventually. Something else I noticed, when you told her to inform the affair partner's wife, she initially refused, saying she couldn't hurt him like that. Right then and there, I don't know how you didn't realize that she cared more about his feelings than yours. That's not the woman you married. She prioritized his feelings over yours and your family's. Even after she thought it over and agreed to do it, the fact that she hesitated in the first place should have been a wake-up call for you. She was more concerned about hurting him than she was about the damage she caused to you and your family. That's a red flag you shouldn't have ignored. Let's check out some of the comments now, and by the way, he has an update. But first, let's see what others have to say. One commenter wrote, I used to wonder if the reason he cheated and I didn't was simply because he had the opportunity, but I wasn't tempted in the same way. Eventually, I understood that infidelity involves hundreds, if not thousands, of deliberate decisions to disrespect you. Even pretending to cheat made you sick, yet she did all that and continued to lie, manipulate, and gaslight you, your family, and your friends. I can't say you'll ever see her the way you used to. Maybe that's why you're still holding on to the divorce papers to finish what she started. Divorce didn't end your marriage, her cheating did. He responded, I'm thinking the same thing, but for some reason, I still can't pull the trigger. I see her as a monster now, and I'm not sure if I can change that. I'll bring it up in counseling. Thanks. Another commenter said, you're holding on because you want maximum retribution for the pain she caused. You're dragging this out to prolong her suffering, but no matter how much remorse she shows, you'll never be happy until you move on. Clean the slate, focus on your kids, and stop torturing her. Your kids are watching you punish their mom repeatedly, which could mess them up. I come from an abusive household, and you're risking doing the same to them. You need to leave. He replied, I've been afraid of this, which is why I stopped. I realized I wasn't helping any of us. I'm being careful not to be mean to her or drag things out. I'm just struggling to move forward while seeing her this way, hence the post. If she's willing to work on it, I'll try to, though I'm not doing well at the moment. Another comment reads, just end it. You can't heal while living with the source of your trauma. The marriage is over, she killed it because she has no respect for you and is completely selfish. She'll do it again eventually, no doubt. Absolutely, we've seen this pattern time and again. Someone else added, if you didn't have the stomach for revenge, you should have just ended it. It takes a certain type of person to enjoy someone else's suffering. He responded, yes, it was hard. I thought hurting her would make me feel better, but it only damaged me. I still have nightmares about pretending to cheat. On really bad nights, I dream that I actually did cheat. Another user asked if he had told her that he never actually cheated or if he let her believe it. He already mentioned this in his edit, but he responded again, saying, I told her before the end of the planned 3 months that I hadn't been with anyone. I couldn't keep up the pretense, it made me feel terrible. Alright, let's check out his update. Update, married 11 years, 2 kids aged 11 and 9. She cheated for 8 months, I found out 3 months ago. Still trying to figure things out. First, thanks to everyone who commented on my original post, both positive and negative. Your input has given me new perspectives and helped me find my way forward, at least for a few more steps. My wife and I stayed up all night after I showed her the post yesterday. Here's an update along with some reflections. We both know that our chances of success are slim and that it will probably take many years to get past the worst of it. But we agreed this morning that we're committed to trying. She was devastated by some of the things I said and by many of the comments, but in the end, we managed to have a real conversation, something we haven't always succeeded in doing. To everyone who spoke in absolutes, it's a completely different experience being in the middle of something like this compared to looking at it from the outside. Facing a new day is nearly impossible. If I were to explain how hard it is to think clearly and make good choices, I'd describe it like this. Imagine you're living your life on top of a mountain, with a clear view of the horizon in all directions. You have no doubts, your mind and thoughts are clear. You know who you are, what you want, and where you're going. Then imagine being yanked from that mountain, stuffed into a dark, sealed coffin, and spun around so fast that all your blood rushes to your legs. You're nearly passing out, you can barely think. You're nauseous, dizzy, and on the verge of throwing up. That's the closest I can come to describing the trauma my brain went through. Of course, I made some bad choices in that state. I think anyone would. To those who said we were hurting our kids, we don't believe so. We talked to them and they're grateful that we've kept them informed and involved in our efforts. My youngest even said, it's my family too. They have more faith in us than we do and appreciate that we ask for their advice and opinions. We've been very clear that we won't tolerate them taking sides and that none of this is their responsibility or fault. They've told us they like being involved and helping us as a family. They give us encouraging words and extra hugs when they feel we need them. They understand that we might not be able to fix this, but they've said they would be disappointed if we gave up without trying our best. After things calmed down, they expressed gratitude for being allowed to be part of the process. Some of their friends are going through similar situations where their families are breaking up and their friends feel left in the dark. Our kids seem to be handling it better than we are, and I just hope we don't let them down. To those who thought I was psychotic and wondered how I could be so harsh while still offering reconciliation, let me clarify, on D-Day, I had no intention of offering anything. I was determined to end things as quickly as possible. Even when she came back the next day begging for another chance, I still planned to leave. But when she pleaded and offered to do anything, I couldn't go through with it. I felt weak and ashamed of myself. I was angry and wanted her to suffer, but deep down, I still loved her and couldn't admit it or end things. I took some time to think and made my list of demands. I never expected her to agree to the toughest terms. I didn't expect her to tell the affair partner's wife, our kids, family, and friends. I certainly didn't expect her to stand by me during my pretend revenge affair. In truth, I wanted her to give up, but I also wanted her to suffer. I believed her suffering would make me feel better, but it didn't. As she complied with everything I asked, I could no longer deny that she was sincere, that she wanted to work things out, and that she deeply regretted her actions. She put in a lot of effort, but I didn't. I kept searching for reasons to leave or for her to leave. I've been incredibly cruel at times, venting my fury at her. I'm a terrifying person when I'm angry, and she just took it. She never tried to justify herself, she just accepted it. She even told me she's never been afraid of me, which I'm not sure I believe. She says she knows I would never physically harm her, but I'm not so sure of myself. I've been close to crossing that line a few times, and I'm terrified I might one day seriously injure or kill someone. As for why she did it, we've concluded that she felt trapped and stagnant. Our life was too safe and comfortable, and the death of her best friend hit her hard. She's struggling to reconcile her choices with the person she thought she was. We've also learned that her affair partner has a pattern of cheating. He's been involved with 2 to 3 women at a time and even has 2 illegitimate sons. As for me, I hadn't fully committed to reconciliation. I'm a hard person, and I convinced myself that I'd feel better if my wife suffered. I thought I'd be okay with walking away if I found a good enough reason, but I was wrong. I've been searching for reasons not to get close to her again. I'm deeply wounded and afraid of being hurt again, which has prevented us from making real progress. She's been fully committed, but I haven't. Some people asked if I'm as good at giving love as I am at punishment, and the answer is no. But I'm working on it. I've forgiven her, but I've kept her at a distance while looking for a reason to leave. I'm going to change that and make a genuine effort to reconcile. If we fail, but I'm going to give it my all from now on, even if it means risking getting hurt again. Some people condemned my wife, while others pointed out that she's only human and made some bad choices. Right now, I'm in charge of the consequences of her bad choices, and it's not a role I want. I've thought about it a lot. I make mistakes too. I sometimes act irrationally toward her. Punishing her has driven me mad with anger and hatred. Sometimes I have no control over it. She made bad choices and lost control, just as I'm doing now. We're both only human, and we need to work on moving past this together. As for my wife, the day after D-Day, she accepted that I was dead serious. There was no hiding, no forgiveness. She knew her chances of saving our family were slim, but she was willing to do anything to try. It's clear now that she never loved the affair partner, she loved the thrill and fantasy. She told me she's grateful for my rock-hard approach because it snapped her out of the affair fog and refocused her on what truly mattered. She feels her punishment was justified and says it helped her not hate herself as much. She's thanked me for not letting her off easy and pushing through. However, she's been punishing herself harder than I ever did. She's even considered ending her life. I didn't know she'd been harming herself since D-Day, beating herself and pinching herself with pliers. Her legs are covered in bruises. Of course, this isn't helpful. It's strange how she now wants to punish herself. She's lost the qualities I fell in love with in the first place. So, all in all, we've made some progress, thanks to the help of strangers on the internet. We have a long way to go, but we've identified some major hurdles to overcome. We actually slept in the same bed for the first time since D-Day, so that's something. It was nice to sleep next to her again. I still love her, and I kind of hate myself for it, but when I think about my kids, it gives me the strength to keep trying. We're working to create something new since the old relationship is gone at this point. Thanks again, everyone. Guys, for that matter, let me know what you think about this. What a story. As I mentioned before, I think he should have stuck with his original plan. As you can see, staying only prolongs his suffering. He's still in pain, even in this update. He still hasn't completely moved on. Don't put yourself in that situation. But let me know what you think in the comments. I will introduce it to you in the next section.